Hi, my name is Yolanda, and I'm doing an internship at the ENS Group in the UK as a project assistant manager. So today I'm gonna be talking about the basics of using plants to create a natural dye and creating a multi-use garden, which is a part of the project Growing Skills and Funds for Budding Learners with Disabilities. So first thing we have to know is definition and history of natural plant-based dyes. What is a plant-based dye? Natural dyes are dyes or colorants derived from plants, invertebrates, or minerals. The majority of natural dyes are vegetable dyes from plant sources such as fruit, berries, bark, leaves, and wood, and other organic sources such as fungi and lichens. Any plant that will yield enough pigment, the coloring matter, to transfer to fibers and color them to a reasonable degree. Natural dyes can be arranged into two basic groups: those that already contain a fixative known as substantive or direct dyes, while those that produce a pigment requiring a separate molded item process are known as adjective or Morton dyes. An example of substantive dye plant is tea, which as we all know is high in tannin and a natural fixative. So next, a bit of history. Archaeologists have found evidence of textile dyeing dating back to the Neolithic period. In China, dyeing with plants, barks, and insects has been traced back more than 5,000 years. The essential process of dyeing changes little over time. Typically, the dye material is put in a pot of water, and then the textiles to be dyed are added to the pot, which is heated and stirred until the color is transferred. Many natural dyes require the use of chemicals called mordants to bind the dye to the textile fibers. Tannin from alcohols, salt, natural alum, vinegar, and ammonia from stale urine were used by early dyers. Many mordants and some dyes themselves produce strong odors, and large-scale dye works were often isolated on their own districts. Modern-day dyeing: until the 1850s, almost all dyes were obtained from natural materials, but after the first successful synthetic dye was conducted in 1956, this quickly came to dominate the market. While easy to produce on a mass scale, synthetic dyes come at a cost, and they are a large part of the reason that the textile industry is one of the largest polluters in the world. There are some 72 toxic chemicals that enter our water supply on account of textile dyeing, and it is estimated that around 20% of global industrial water pollution comes from textile treatment and dyeing. So now we know the history of natural dyes. Let's see the effects of chemical textile dyes versus plant-based dyes. Advantages of natural dyeing. First, the colors produced by natural dyes and pigments are vibrant. Next, they are not only biodegradable but non-toxic and non-allergic too. This means that they are much better for the environment and for use around humans. It is easy to extract the natural color from plants, fruits, or flowers. Many natural dyes also have antimicrobial properties, making them safer for kids in particular. Additionally, natural dyes neither contain harmful chemicals nor carcinogenic components common to artificial or synthetic dyes. By using natural dyes over these other choices, you're helping preserve the environment and lowering human dependence on harmful products. Another interesting advantage of natural dyes is that they provide higher UV absorption in the fabrics they are used on. By wearing clothes dyed naturally, you are able to more fully protect your skin from the sun's harmful rays. So now you have some interesting facts about natural dye research and find out more reasons why natural dye is so good. Also, have a look into some disadvantages there may be and why. Artificial versus natural dye. So in this slide, we are going to see which are the benefits and the disadvantages between artificial and natural dye. When toxic runoff and residual from the textile manufacturing and dyeing process of it end up in our delicate oceans, we should do all we can to ensure we are using the non-toxic alternative, which is natural dyes. Products used in producing natural dyes, particularly plants, produce no waste, unlike the products used in the synthetic dyeing process. This is because plants bypass the entire production process it takes to create synthetic dyes. This is yet another reason why natural dyes are infinitely better for the environment. By using natural dyes rather than synthetic dyes, you are able to be closely connected to nature and recognize the importance it plays in all of our lives. Taking into account the information you just received, now it's the time to look into more reasons why natural dyeing is more sustainable than synthetic or artificial dyeing. So here you have some concepts that may help you to do this activity, which is chemicals, environment, toxic, artificial, natural waste, and sustainability. Now we are going to be talking about plants for natural dye. First of all, which plants can we use for natural dye? Look into the most common plants used for plant dyeing, how you can incorporate them into a garden, and what other uses these plants can have to minimize waste. Here's an example, marigolds, an annual that can be easily grown from seed in pots or borders. Benefits include tea like antiseptic plus anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, heals conjunctivitis, heals and hydrates skin, pollinator for bees and butterflies, and collects seeds to resow next year. So as you can see, marigolds are a really useful flower. Vibrant colors. Now that you have researched what plants can be used for natural dye, it's time to find out what colors they create. Which plants make your favorite color? Go that extra step. Having chosen which plants they would like to use, you will now research other uses that plants have to minimize waste. Ranging from culinary to fertilizing to pollinating, research all the potential uses the plants have. Take notes and be aware of all the uses one single plant can have. You may have already found this earlier. Now it's time to incorporate these reasons into your plant choice for a multi-use garden. Put this knowledge to use. Combining all the previous factors, decide what plants you will grow for a multi-use garden. Take into consideration environmental factors, climate, soil type, sun exposition, and plan the garden around the colors you would like to obtain through natural dyeing. The natural dyeing process. What's needed? First of all, look into what tools and materials are needed. Take into consideration quantities and necessary precautions. Make a checklist of everything you will need for the process. Natural dyeing method. Now that you are aware of the material needed, it's time to find out how to make and use a natural dye. Write down the necessary steps towards an easy technique for carrying a natural dye. And then make a summary. This last module will summarize all previous modules using the knowledge gained you. You will have to make a summary of how to pick and grow plants for a natural dye, what is needed, and how to carry out the process. Finally, they will explain further uses the plants can have aside from being used as a natural dye and make this into an easy to follow step-by-step procedure that anyone can follow from home. So this is all. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope you have enjoyed the presentations, and in case of questions, you can mail us Visit our website, find us on social media such as Facebook and Instagram, and you can also explore our huge resources.